were taught to stay small for the ones on the edge, ready, risking it all. This is your mirror, this is your crown. Stand closer, we're lifting you now. We rise like sisters, hand in hand. We don't break, we don't bow. We shout our stories, say our names, say 'em loud, say 'em proud. Hey! Lean like chains made of fire. Every note just takes us higher. We rise like sisters. Watch us now. Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey. We rise like sisters. Watch us now.
Good evening. It's nighttime. Welcome to the Women's Nest. Tonight, I just woke up. It's almost 8 o'clock at night. And I just woke up because I was up super early today to do something super important. I went and saw the final pre-conference. Oh my gosh, why is all this stuff popping up? The final pre-conference hearing for the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case that's going to trial in, I think, 10 or 11 days from now. It was a huge win. It was super emotional. It was a good thing to be a part of. So I'm going to get all the fun stuff out of the way before we talk about it. And then I'm going to spit some facts. Hopefully, again, if this can just get one more person involved, it's what this is all about. So there is some crossover from another thing I was involved in, and I saw a couple of people that I had previously known, and this one woman came up to me and she said, "Danielle, I have something in my car for you because I knew I was going to see you at some point, and it's been in my car for a while." And this is the stuff that means the world to me, that, there may be personalities that collide and ego. And I talked about that a lot today, that ego gets in the way of what you really believe in a lot of times. And that can really hurt. So I got this. And if you know, you know, right? And it just says, hang this magnetic sign to always remember her fight for justice. Thank you for your support. And that's what it's all about. And actually, my calendar here that my son got me, the Fuck It calendar for tired ass women. So are you a tired ass woman? Obviously I am. Oh, the dog needs to go out. Shocking. Hold. Gonna try to clip it. If not, hold. So, March. You've got this shit. Giving an F doesn't really go with your outfit. How true. How true. So, got there super early today. And nothing happens by accident. Got there early. There was a woman. I went to the restroom. There was a woman in the restroom, and she had a purple shirt on, because purple is the support color. Had a purple shirt on and had like a purple headband. And I was going to ask in the bathroom, but I'm like, don't be maybe she just likes purple, Danielle. Like, don't embarrass yourself. So it's now like a half hour before I go up to the floor for the hearing, and just started chatting. And there was a gentleman there too, and it just so happened to be, I'm going to call her the victim. It was her father. And, we had some niceties, and then there were two other women. And so much like how I envision this channel to be, we all just connected. We all had a story. We all felt the pain in whatever way, right? It was just a beautiful thing. I can't explain it. It was just a beautiful thing. So we get there and it was great and all. And then the elevator broke. So for ADA compliance, they brought us all down to the first floor. And so we went to a new courtroom. And my seat of choice in the first courtroom was perfect. I was like kind of off to the side, but I was like up second row. So like I could really see, hear the things. It was really good. And then the next courtroom, I was like right there. But it was just, again, it was a beautiful thing to see. Raw emotion. Really, it was a couple hours long, a little over 2 hours maybe, but yeah, about 2.5 hours. I don't know because it started late, so maybe 2 hours. We'll say 2 hours. So my back was killing me and sitting in like church pews, so I stretched a couple of times. But like while we were waiting, just seeing the interactions with the people, it makes a difference. It makes a real difference. Now I can also. Excuse me. I'm literally going back to bed after this. The interactions with people, you could say, "Oh, it was beautiful," and all of these amazing niceties, or you can look at it and go, "Well, they should have done this. They should have done that." It's really how we perceive it. So it just reminded me on why I do these things. So this woman that I had seen from past. She said, "Danielle, I just love what you're doing with the channel. And man, you guys have no idea. Maybe it's an ego boost. But, just kind of reiterating to her, the goal is to just be able to reach one other person." And I had shared a little bit of that with the first two women I had met. So it was a really nice day. And, I kind of explained to them, like I told them about your recovery and all kinds of stuff. It was a great day. It was a great day. So I was going to do the readings, but I want to make this kind of short, but I really want to get the focus on Kelsey's case. Like I said, if one more woman can know about this and maybe we can connect. Excuse me. If I had someone else who's just a fan of knowing more information, wants to come on and maybe we can bounce ideas back and forth. So I was trying to explain to someone near and dear to me about this. And I said, it's kind of like the other case. Like you tell me where you're at, like what information you know, and then I can expound on that. So I found a posting that I recall was just perfect. So here it is. Kelsey was a Massachusetts police officer in North Andover. She was engaged to a firefighter in the same town. In March of 2025, they welcomed a son. In June, her fiancé sought and was issued a restraining order against her and was given emergency custody of their baby after saying she had been violent. On June 30th, she was served the orders by fellow police officers. According to Kelsey, she attempted to shoot herself with her gun, but according to the police officer in the room with her, she pointed it at him. I'm going to stop there before I continue on. There's conflicting reports now. Sound familiar? The original report states that she lunged from behind a door in her bedroom. The problem with that is that there was no bedroom door. Okay? So I'm going to make that statement and move on. The officer shot her in the chest. She survived. I'm going to stop there and say I've also read like the med flight report. I can't remember where it was, but she shouldn't have. And the more I dig deep into this for my own sake, she shouldn't have, and I think that was the goal because it gets uglier. And this is all public information. It's not like I have an inside scoop because I'm just Danielle with a voice and a microphone. So, again, the officer shot her in the chest and she survived. She was originally charged with 3 different charges, including attempted murder. A grand jury did come back with a no bill, but which means like they couldn't see through it. She was indicted on only 1 charge of assault with a deadly weapon. I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit and kind of give you the additional facts, right, that are now well known. So she was in the hospital for like 53 days, literally fighting for her life, lots of surgeries, collapsed lungs, like liver lacerations. The list goes on and on. And if you want to research any of this, a simple Google search, right? Her name, injuries, that kind of stuff. And you'll see them all. She was then released from the hospital and put on some very restrictive and suspicious release conditions. And I'm not saying the word suspicious. It's been out there as reported. They don't necessarily fit the crime. But, you know, it is what it is. So, after the 2 weeks she was out on the bail with restrictions, including alcohol monitoring, her attorneys had asked to change the manner in which she submitted to the testing, as she was still recovering from being shot in the chest. She had a scram device, so you got to blow into it for a sustained amount of time. If you've had any breathing issues in your life, you know that can be very daunting. And, you know, if you've ever been sick and you try to blow into something for like 30 seconds at a consistent heavy rate, it can be hard. I hear the dog. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. So they went in to ask if she could change the method of testing to random drug screens like urinalysis, right? The good old whiz quiz, right? And I think this is where my outrage personally hit a level. There was no video recording of this hearing, which is slightly suspicious, but there was audio, and the audio recording of the hearing got released, and it's heartbreaking. Now, I like to say that, like, I have a hard time with emotions as far as like, I have emotions, but like it takes a lot for me to cry. And it's not because I don't feel it. I don't know. Maybe that's my trauma, is that I have a real hard time crying. And I will. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's just not there. It's not like a friend of mine who said, you know, when she sees someone crying, she goes, they're there. It's not that bad, but you know, it takes a while. And I remember hearing the sadness as the judge revoked her bail because she would not comply to the restrictions. So it says here, during that hearing, the judge unexpectedly revoked her bail. She has since been held there, and that has changed. This is an older piece of information, but she was in jail for like 100 and something days. And then her fiance filed a motion to ex-fiance filed a motion to attach a lien to a property which she recently listed for sale. So that's kind of like that's where things were up until November. They tried getting her out so she could be home for Thanksgiving. That didn't happen. She got released like 2 days before Christmas, which was awesome. Great to see. But the fight isn't over. And while there's a criminal matter pending, there's also the probate matter pending. And, I'm not sure how I want to word these things, because the internet, like, I'm not a part of this, but like, X, Twitter, whatever the hell it's called, some Facebook things, like people who get involved, and if you don't agree with them, your job comes on the line, your personal information gets out there. It's like these crazy, crazy things. And what happened to having a difference of opinion and being okay with that? One of my greatest friends, she's up in New Hampshire, and we don't have virtually anything in common except our love for Tracy Chapman. you know when I drank and we would drink together, we would have some heated discussions, but at the end of the day, like, I still respect your opinion. I don't have to agree with it, and that's bothersome. So I do sometimes get worried, scared, like, is my livelihood at jeopardy for me having an opinion on something? You know? I don't know. It just hurts me. It just hurts me a little bit. So I don't know. I'm still kind of lost in that department. And that feels weird for me to say because I don't feel lost in a lot of things. But I do feel lost in this as far as my comfort level of reaching out. Or not reaching out. Speaking out. Speaking out. That's the word I'm looking for. But I'll tell you, sitting, and there's a reason why I wanted to talk about this, because there's some other things that have come up, and I just want to talk about maybe how we as women, and I don't like saying this either, can be a very vulnerable population, right? So I saw a young woman in court today that is tiny. But I've since learned, just on some like other things, like, she could probably kick my ass, right? She's a friggin' police officer, so she got to be fit. I know she like works out regularly. She's getting stronger every day. All these awesome things, right? But I also saw someone, and I would be the same way. Someone who was scared, right? Someone who's probably anxious, right? Like, when the odds are stacked against you by people who may not be telling the entire truth, it's scary. But I also saw a man not related to her show her love, compassion, and was genuinely concerned about her well-being in a setting that is scary as hell, right? Like, I watch trials and I'll be like, or you'll be like, wow, they're really nervous on the stand. I would probably talk about not being able to cry. I would probably cry because I'd be so nervous, right? I don't want to be in that position. And this woman has to be here truly at no fault of her own, because she had postpartum depression. And remember, guys, ladies, and let's educate the men that we know, postpartum depression, PPD, is not a crime. It is not a crime. It is a very mentally, emotionally exhausting time. And Now, I'm getting a little fired up. It usually takes about 20 minutes. That's funny. Based on new released information for the probate court, right? Because that's really where this is all going to come out and be very interesting. Well, when you live with someone who, I'm not going to title anyone, but someone who has alcoholic tendencies and drug addiction tendencies, and then you have a new baby that you're caring for because you can't rely on the other person, where does your mind go? Just asking for a friend, maybe. I'll tell you where my mind went. This is my story. Where my mind went when I had an infant and had to deal with someone who was not available. I'll tell you where my mind went when I had a child who could care for themselves, and I had the mental load of dealing with someone with alcoholic tendencies. You hate life. You hate life. So, how do you think someone's mental status might be? They've got the most amazing thing in their hands. That wonderful thing that they created is giving them so much peace, but stressful, right? Newborns aren't amazingly easy. And then you have to deal with that stress. I'm not going to speculate on any possible abuse or anything like that, but who knows? Who knows what was going on behind those doors? And I can just tell you that I know what feeling like shit feels like. So you had someone who felt trapped, right? Right? What about the women who, there was another thing I was watching recently about a domestic violence survivor who ended up stabbing her husband or whatever. And they kept saying, well, she could have walked away. No. I mean, she could have. You're right. You're right. But you're discounting the mental load that person has had to go through. So when I saw kindness and joy, I guess I don't want to say joy, but kindness, compassion, joy to be able to help them. When I saw that today, I had a little more faith in humanity. This was a man who, whether it was their job or not, you can't fake that, right? You can pay someone a lot of money, but you can't fake that empathy, that compassion. And I saw that today, and it was amazing. Amazing. Now, small wins today, and I want to talk about the small wins. So she was not able to live on her own. So she had to sell her house for legal fees. Now, Queen had her own home. It was her home. Ain't nobody else's. A little near and dear to my heart. It was her home. She had to sell it to pay for her legal fees, which is sad. But I guess that's a part of life. And I look at it as maybe there weren't good memories there. So you know what? Burn that bitch down. Move on, girl. Move on. You and your baby are going to have such a great place, such a great life. And I'm more positive about that after today. So, her previous restrictions, one of them was also that she had to live with her parents, right? Because I don't know, they said like the mother's got to keep an eye on her. Like, that's crazy. She's charged with assault with a dangerous weapon. She's not charged with murder, and that was a stretch anyway. So, like, there's murderers who have less restrictions than she does, but sorry, going off. So that was one of them. And the other was that the Superior Court's ruling on her not having any contact with her child made no sense, because that's probate and family's wheelhouse, right? So like they should be the ones to dictate that. I just think that maybe that was like a look at me ruling, but digress. Sorry. So both of those things got overturned today. So Miss Fitzsimmons has her own place, and it's getting ready to be moved into. So when she goes to probate court, she can say, this is my room. This is my baby's room. This is my permanent address. It was awesome. So tears started running down my face a little bit. Actually, they weren't. That's a lie. I don't lie anymore. Tears were not running down my face. I had a tear come down on both sides. And then I saw her family crying. And I came home subsequently and saw just a smile that she had, like, thank you, God. Small victories, right? That's all this is that's what this is all about, those small little victories that we can be happy for each day. And then she got some really much better news. And that news was that this judge was going to vacate the order that she have no contact with her child. Now, she still can't, because that was the agreed upon ruling while she was incarcerated. Made sense, right? Don't fight for stuff that you can't get at this time, you know? So it was a beautiful, beautiful day today. I went somewhere for a god-awful reason, but I was able to do that. I was able to get up well before I normally do for work, got there super early, was able to meet some amazing women. I got to come home, and now I get to share this information with you all. And if you're interested in learning more, shoot me a text, make a comment on it. I may hold you hostage for a while because I get passionate about this stuff, because it's so important. There's lots of Kelseys in this state. There's lots of Kelseys in this world. And I don't understand why someone feels that you have to lie to get what you want, you know? I've heard, and I'm such a small channel that I doubt that it will happen to me, but I've heard that these larger channels, they're striking them down because they don't want the information out there, right? That's scary. That's some very scary stuff. So if you have it in you, there's a couple of ways to donate. She has now an Amazon wish list for her new place, right? Because just in it for the money, crap bag, pretty much took everything that was the baby's. She had to sell her home. I'm sure that, there wasn't forward thinking at that point. It was probably just like sell everything. Her legal fees are up there. She's got 2 great attorneys that aren't cheap. Great attorneys aren't cheap. So if you're interested in donating, there's the Give, Send, Go. And the campaign is called Help Kelsey Heal. I believe it is currently at $100,000 or more. Some major fundraisers have happened. So if you have the opportunity to do that, please do. When I donate to these things, and I'm not saying that you can't donate or you should donate. If you can't, you can't. But there's so many other ways to donate, not financially. Share this to someone else. Share it with someone who you know is like, you got a hole burning in their pocket, right? They're like, hey, you should donate. This is a great cause. But when I donate to these things, the way I look at it is, through the life of another campaign, I think I donated, we'll say $200. I think it was probably around $200. It was, I think for a while I was doing like $25 every pay period. So it wasn't anything crazy, right? But when all was said and done, I said, giving them $200 to fight whatever they're fighting is a lot cheaper than me having to obtain my own attorney, right? That's kind of how I would look at it. So, when Kelsey was incarcerated, she was in solitary because she was a police officer, like safety. I put money on her phone, on her books, like for her phone, because I felt like that was so important. Like, girl, you got nothing right now. You got nothing but time, and you don't deserve to be in here. So here's $50 to use for this phone, right? So now it's changed a little bit. Today cost me $20, $10 for gas and $10 for parking. And it was worth it. Right. So I'm probably not going to donate when I get paid tomorrow, but I donated in other ways. So, yeah. All right. I hope that, I hope you guys look into this case and maybe join on this journey with me. All right. Take care. Talk soon.